type of indictment you would expect from someone in the mafia.
I don't know that I could keep him off the stand. He is very eager to tell his story.
They're going to show that video over and over and over about what happens to women that won't change their stories.
His reputation is over.
The United States government, they start making this case as a takedown of a successful.
The Diddy trial has just been completely upended by Ben Affleck's sensational FBI statement, which has revealed startling new information that might completely alter the case's trajectory. Ben Affleck just made a new comment that has the potential to drastically change the trajectory of Diddy's legal dispute. The judge has twice rejected Diddy's request to be released on bail, citing his influence and risk of flight.
Oh, it's just, I don't know. Every man she's been with has said the same thing, except for Diddy. Diddy's the only one that said she was a great girlfriend and how he wish he hadn't messed it up.
Yeah.
How is that the only man in her life that had regrets about their relationship and everybody else ran for the hills? Like, it's not nobody noticing that. That everybody else that's left her, oh, she was too this, she was this, she was that. But Diddy said she was perfect.
Maybe she was meant for the medal.
What happens if you're only perfect for the devil?
God.
What the f does that make you?
Jaguar Wright reveals that the only man who hasn't fled from Jennifer is Diddy, who is ideal for you.
Really thought that just running off and marrying Ben Affleck was going to take you out of the Diddy downfall? It saved her the first time, though, didn't it? Because as soon as that club was over and as soon as they finished interrogating her, when she sat there and cried like a baby, I don't want to go to jail, Benny Medina put her with that drunk.
Moreover, Jaguar expressed her thoughts on the marriage between J-Lo and Affleck.
Well, Diddy is not giving up, even before he gets to the trial, he's not giving up on trying to get out of jail. You know that he has been turned down twice to get out on bail, and he is being held in Brooklyn and will be there until the trial begins.
Unless he appeals and an appeals court says the judge was.
Affleck's confidential testimony to the FBI raises the possibility of inside information that could jeopardize the prosecution's case. They have already put together a formidable defense team, including renowned attorneys like Alexandra Shapiro, who has a track record of winning high-stakes cases.
To post bail, which is exactly what they are going to try and do.
Right, and he has brought in new lawyers to try and get this done. We'll get to the lawyers in a second. I just don't know how has the argument changed?
The problem is this, that
The same things that the judge said before.
there's a legal standard when you appeal something like this. And the legal standard is, did the judge abuse his discretion? Because ultimately, this is a discretionary thing. And it is a high...
Here's the kicker, though. It has been very difficult for the defense to refute the prosecution's claim that Diddy is not only a flight risk, but also has the resources to threaten witnesses, and the judge has supported this assertion.
For an appellate court to meet to say, we're going to superimpose our view of it over the trial judge's view of it. And what the trial judge was saying is, look, he is a flight risk and a danger in the sense that he's tried to intimidate and influence witnesses in the...
What comes next? Did's team is now attempting to expedite the trial because they believe the prosecution may not be entirely ready and that Affleck's statement may be their secret weapon.
Right there, they about to let her out. Hey, J-Lo. Hey, when you gonna stop messing with these lines, man? Get a real one like me. Oh, you ain't gonna reply? Keep getting divorces then, Lane.
You did used to date Mr. Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Diddy, he's a...
Oh! He's a hell of a hustler.
No, he was. But I don't know, we never lived together. I was talking more about my relationships where we lived together.
Following Diddy's imprisonment, Jennifer Lopez is being questioned about her involvement in these issues after being confronted for dating him.
Lopez and Ben Affleck are no strangers to rumors. Recently, there's much buzz about the couple's marriage being on the rocks. They're also subject of the new special TMZ investigates J-Lo and Ben missed warning signs. Well, joining us this morning is TMZ's Harvey Levin. We're going to clear it out and get right to the facts. So, Harvey, as soon as Bennifer 2.0 loaded, it seems it imploded just as fast. What happened with these two?
Well, I mean, a lot happened, but, Tashani, what I find really interesting about this is, we talked to a bunch of people they saw this coming like a freight train for a whole bunch of reasons.
Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez have constantly been in the news, and according to recent speculations, there has been a lot of talk about their marriage, with many people implying that it is having major problems. The couple is currently the subject of a new special. J-Lo and Ben overlooked warning flags, according to TMZ's investigation.
You know, I think one of the reasons, and it's really interesting, everybody knows Ben has a substance abuse problem, and he is an addict. But the people we spoke to also said that Jennifer Lopez is an addict, not substance abuse. She is a love addict. And I know that sounds crazy, but it's actually a thing, that she falls fast and hard for people. And she usually gets engaged, or she has gotten engaged just months after getting involved with somebody. And when it ends, there is no alone time. She goes right to the next.
Ben's well-known battle with substance misuse is undoubtedly a significant problem. But what truly shocked people was that Jennifer suffers from her own kind of addiction, not to drugs, but to love, and that she falls deeply and quickly.
A lot of the people we talked to said that is just a recipe for disaster. When it comes to maintaining a relationship, you need this kind of alone time. The other thing is, and this sounds superficial, but it's real, he hates publicity, Ben Affleck, and she loves it like a moth is driven to a flame. And this is what torpedoed their first relationship, or at least one of the reasons, according to them. And yet they repeated this a second time, going on this kind of love tour. And when he looks miserable, a lot of the people we talked to said he actually is miserable.
Yeah, my Boston brethren, every time we saw him, he had a frown on his face. But we want to get to some sound right now, Harvey. Let's go there real quick.
Another problem is that Jennifer loves publicity while Ben hates it, which also led to the end of their first relationship. It looks like history is following the same pattern.
It's because they've been a nice little blended family. They developed this relationship. What happens to them now? Do you think they'll be able to maintain that closeness?
That's, we get into that a lot in this. If you think about it, these kids on both sides have already been involved in one divorce, and in J-Lo's case, more than one. And then, in terms of relationships. And, now they blended and they're kind of broken apart. So, theoretically, yeah, they've got.
Although Jennifer is extremely gifted, she'd struggled to grow on her own since she always needed someone to be with her. She constantly getting into relationships without giving herself the necessary alone time. Some even claim that she is more than just a love junkie.
They are going to lead separate lives. I mean, look, they're getting divorced. They're selling the family house. He's moved out. We know she is looking for her own home. So do they maintain a relationship? It's possible, but they are going to be in separate orbits eventually, because all signs here are this marriage is over.
And now she gave him a very special Happy Father's Day shout out, calling Ben their hero. I mean, no one's pulled the plug yet, Harvey. Is it safe to say that it's possible they could get things back on track?
Yeah, I mean, Trishan, anything is.
Ben and Jennifer were married for the second time, and although their blended families appeared to be functioning well, you had to wonder what will happen to the children now that things are breaking apart.
Separately, working with a realtor in Beverly Hills, looking for her own home. That's not the sign of two people who are going to try and reconcile. And it's just not what we're hearing. So, I know a lot of people were rooting for this, and that itself might be a problem, because what happens is that when you've got two big stars and you've got the world kind of rooting for this fantasy, they buy into it, and if it doesn't work, they feel still that need to hold it together. It just hasn't worked, and we get into that in some detail in the Hulu documentary.
Divorce always affects the children, but in this case, it's particularly difficult because both sets of children have previously gone through at least one divorce. Jennifer has had several relationships come and go, especially with her kids.
Another day. You got it.
Having said that, is there any chance that they may still get back together and put their relationship back on track?
Yeah, I had a chance to watch it actually yesterday ahead of this interview, and the whole time, Harvey, I was like, ooh. So it's certainly worth watching. Why don't you let the people out there know how they can watch it?
It is on Hulu. It dropped today. It is called J-Lo and Ben Missed Warning Signs. And you will hear from a lot of people who know a whole lot in this area, including the person you just mentioned, John Peters, one of the most successful producers in Hollywood, who actually put J-Lo in one of her first movies.
All right, Harvey, thank you.
There is some urgent news. Show Diddy was taken into custody on grave trafficking-related accusations. 2 more people are reportedly ready to assist federal authorities and are even willing to appear before a grand jury, according to TMZ.
All right, we're getting into the debrief and the very latest on Sean Diddy Combs' arrest on sex trafficking crimes. TMZ is reporting that at least 2 new people plan to cooperate with the feds, and they're willing to testify in front of the grand jury.
All right, joining us now with the details, Charles Latabodier, TMZ executive producer. Charles, thanks so much for being here with us. Obviously, it's been a very busy week in this case. What's the latest with the investigation?
Yes, Steve and Bianca, as U.S. Attorney Damian Williams promised earlier this week, he said this is an ongoing investigation and that they will be speaking to more people.
According to a former warden we spoke with, Diddy is a target in prison because hurting a well-known person like Diddy can give other prisoners a sort of badge of honor. As a result, they have placed him in solitary confinement for his own protection. Diddy is currently being held at the MDC in Brooklyn, and it may be some time before his trial even starts. His attorneys are working to have him transferred, but for the time being, he is there.
And what we've been told by a former warden is he's a target. That's the fact of the matter, and that's why they have him in a solitary part of the jail, because they don't, he becomes a target because it's like what we've been told, it's like a badge of honor that if you were able to inflict some violence on Diddy, that gets you score points with other inmates. So that's a situation that obviously the jail officials do not want to happen, so they're going out of the way to make sure that doesn't.
During the interview, Jaguar Wright also revealed Diddy's party list. She grabbed the names of other celebrities and said that Diddy and Jennifer Lopez should be held accountable for their crimes. Let's bring in Criminal.
Lopez should definitely be charged. Mary J. Blige should also be charged. Should I keep going? Jay-Z should be charged. Callie should be charged. Rick Ross should be charged. Usher should be charged and tried with him.
Evidence indicates that Show Combs was operating what they refer to as the Combs Enterprise. In essence, they have accused him of being the head of a criminal organization in which his staff and helpers reportedly helped him acquire both male and female labor for his own benefit.
Criminal defense attorney Stacey Schneider. And Stacey, you say today's indictment reads like a mob indictment. What was most shocking to you of all these allegations?
Yeah, the fact, Jake, that the government in this indictment presented evidence alleging that Sean Combs was running a criminal enterprise, and they actually named it in the indictment, the Combs Enterprise. And they said that this enterprise consisted of him as the alleged leader, his employees, assistants, staff, allegedly.
Isn't really prosecuting. Rather, it's framed like a mob-style indictment with charges of a racketeering conspiracy. The government isn't accusing him of wrongdoing directly, but rather of operating this illegal business that transported people across state lines for prostitution.
We're able to procure women and alleged male sex workers to engage in performances for his own sexual gratification. Where it differs from a mob indictment, it has all the elements of putting together this racketeering allegation of all these moving pieces using resources from his businesses. But the fact that this is about an allegation of sexual gratification being accomplished by alleged human trafficking, it's one of the most unique indictments I've ever seen in this area, in the area of sex crimes, because the government isn't actually.
Even if these accusations are true, the indictment makes no mention of the acts being non-consensual, which the defense will undoubtedly point out. It also makes no mention of the fact that these people were coerced or unwilling participants.
The sex crimes, other than the human trafficking or the sex trafficking, they're not prosecuting any type of alleged sexual abuse to women, although that's part of this racketeering scheme. But the actual charges are racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transporting individuals over state lines to engage in prostitution. The reasoning around all of this, his alleged motivation as presented in that indictment.
But the government's charges center on how Combs allegedly used his companies, such as his clothing and music businesses, to finance this activity of transporting people across state lines for prostitution. The quantity of evidence, including tangible evidence gathered during raids at his homes in Miami and Los Angeles, could still result in a
own personal gratification. And that's just the strangest type of indictment I've ever seen. But I agree with you. This indictment reads, it's very disturbing. The facts presented are out of, a very bad Hollywood story. And a lot of the evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these sexual performances that have been
infuriating, troubling, devastating. You can go down the list of things, but it's so difficult to speak about.
I know.
Being a witness of anything. Tell me how you must be feeling just knowing that this has even come to light.
Well, I have kept this secret for like 14 years. I mean, the first time I experienced it was 2010. Came in and I had no idea Cassie left. And when I woke up, I just saw his presence come into the room. They went into the bedroom and shut the door, and all I could hear is screaming and yelling and whatever was going on in there, I don't know. But all I could think of was to grab Cassie's things and start packing it up and just getting her out to safety and bringing her to my house. Busted lip, but a lot of knots all over her head.
Did she go to the police at that point or anything?
No, we didn't know what to do at that point because, Puffy is a very powerful person and we were quite terrified. So I just, brought her to my house, and my friend who is a doctor, I called her, and thank God she was in town because we didn't know what to do. And she treated her for, just to make sure she didn't have a concussion or anything like that. But it was really difficult. It was